Are you guys excited about the remainder of the 2025 tennis season? Well, I certainly am, but I understand that some people tend to tune out after the US Open and then they get excited again once the Australian Open starts in the following year. However, there are a lot of things to stay excited about when it comes to professional tennis. There are a lot of big tournaments still to take place in 2025, and there are also a lot of exciting exhibitions. For example, the Six Kings Slam, that's a fun one that's coming up soon. And I'm not going to call the Laver Cup an exhibition because it is an important tournament. And let me tell you why that is. I'm going to discuss the Laver Cup as an event in more detail in my Monday morning tennis rant coming out tomorrow. In today's video, I want to discuss Taylor Fritz taking out Carlos Alcaraz for the first time. But the reason why the Laver Cup is different from other exhibitions is that the head-to-heads are counted on the ATP. So the fact that Taylor Fritz beat Carlos Alcaraz, that's an official match and it counts. Now the head-to-head is 3-1 for Alcaraz, and it's been like this for a while. Now they retroactively had put the head-to-heads after some possible negotiations with the ATP. I'm not certain about that because initially the Laver Cup matches weren't counted towards the head-to-head, and they retroactively put the win that Isner had over Nadal in their head-to-head. So a lot of people in various comment sections are saying that this is an exhibition and it doesn't really matter, it doesn't count towards anything. Yes, you don't get ATP points. However, the ATP recognizes these matches as official matches. And there are other factors why I think players take this very seriously, which I'll discuss in my Monday morning rant. But I want to tell you that Carlos Alcaraz didn't lose this match because he didn't care. Because I want to go back to 2024, where Carlos Alcaraz struggled at the US Open. He lost to Botic van den Zandschulp in the second round. And right after the US Open, he played Davis Cup and he faced Mahac, a phenomenal player who was also part of the Laver Cup. And in this match, Carlos Alcaraz continued to play poorly just like he did at the US Open. He lost the first set 7-6. But then early in that second set, after hitting a spectacular shot, Carlos Alcaraz got pumped and he started playing extremely well. Won that second set 6-1. Mahac pulled out of that match, but Alcaraz then beat Humbert very easily in straight sets and he started playing well again. He then went on to the Laver Cup, playing exceptional tennis, beating Shelton and Fritz in straight sets. And I do think that that part of last year's season was very important for Carlos. Now, this brings up the question, how will this loss to Taylor Fritz affect him? Because as I've been discussing in many of my videos, this is the best season that Carlos Alcaraz has put together so far in his young career. And it is inevitable that at some point he's going to start losing some matches. He can't continue to play at this level. There will be some natural slumps. Now, in my opinion, I do not think that Carlos Alcaraz should have played the Laver Cup. I think he should have rested until the Masters tournament in Shanghai. He could have used this time of the season to continue to work on his game, to continue to work on his fitness. And to me, looking long term, it's not going to be beneficial for Alcaraz to have this heavy of a schedule post US Open, where he likes to play Davis Cup, he likes to play Laver Cup, and then he usually signs up either for Beijing or Tokyo prior to the Shanghai Masters. So in my opinion, he should completely skip those tournaments, focus on longevity, because this loss to Fritz could have an effect. We don't know. The truth is, this was the worst match that Carlos Alcaraz has played since losing to David Goffin in Miami this year. Now, we have to give Taylor Fritz credit because he played one of the best matches that I've ever seen him play. And the new coach of the world team is Andre Agassi, and it's possible that Agassi had an effect on Taylor Fritz, who likes to get the return back in play. Taylor talked about this when he faced two huge servers in the early rounds of Wimbledon this year, Pericard and Diallo. He loves to chip, and he loves making the return and then getting into a rally and looking for his chances there. But in this match against Carlos Alcaraz, Taylor Fritz was incredibly aggressive, not only on the return of serve, but also with the rest of his game. He came to the net 20 times and won 16 out of 20 points, which is spectacular. And some of you guys might not know that Taylor Fritz, among his close group of friends on tour, is regarded as a terrible volleyer. And there's an interesting anecdote that Taylor shared after beating Francis at the 2024 semifinals at the US Open that Tiafoe usually smiles in a sarcastic way at Taylor when Taylor makes a volley because Tiafoe thinks that Fritz has atrocious volleys. Now, I do think that the Fritz volley has improved tremendously. Now, tennis is such a complex game, and for some of you that might not be aware of the intricacies of the game of tennis, what I'm about to say might sound weird, but when it comes to tennis, even a best of 5 match, the first game of the match might not seem that important because the match is quite long. But not only the first game, even the first point of a tennis match can be extremely important. And when it comes to the head-to-head matchup between Fritz and Alcaraz, in each time that Fritz had lost to Alcaraz, he had lost his serve in the very first game. And this for sure was in Taylor's head. And right in the first game, Alcaraz was looking sharp, and Taylor found himself down 15-40 in his first service game, which happened to be the first game of the match. But Taylor, in his post-match interview, said that making it out of that game and holding had a huge effect on this match. And that's the crazy thing about tennis, because I do believe that if Carlos Alcaraz breaks in that first game, this is going to be a completely different match. Now, Taylor Fritz breaks Carlos Alcaraz, goes up 4-1, and has a look to get a double break, love 30 on the Alcaraz serve. And for any of you that think that the Laver Cup is an exhibition tournament, just look at the Alcaraz body language in the game where he was down 4-1. He was screaming, he was pumping himself up. So these guys are taking these matches seriously, of course. But again, we're going to discuss in more detail why I think players are playing full out at this tournament in tomorrow's video. But in any case, Alcaraz holds, and Fritz is serving really well. He has a tough game, serving for the set at 5-3, and ends up taking this first set 6-3 with one break. Now, the second set, one of the best sets that I've seen Taylor Fritz play. He was playing very aggressive off the return of serve, coming to the net, serving exceptionally well. And he ended up breaking Alcaraz twice in this set and won this match comfortably 6-3, 6-2. So one of the best performances from Taylor Fritz that I've ever seen. But this was not a good performance from Carlos Alcaraz. I made a video a week ago where I was praising the Alcaraz forehand, and I said in this video that even on his worst day, his forehand is better, because I had stated that when Carlos Alcaraz plays poorly, the forehand can spray a little bit. And I thought that Carlos Alcaraz this year, after the tournament in Miami, even on his bad days, would find his forehand, even if it was off in specific matches where he wasn't playing well. But Carlos Alcaraz did not have a good day from the back of the court against Fritz. He was spraying a lot of forehands. He was missing some backhands. And quite interestingly, the feel was off on his drop shots. He missed a lot of drop shots, and some in very crucial stages of this match. And it's so weird that sometimes the feel is just not there for Alcaraz. I had seen this in other matches as well. Now, what does this mean long term for Carlos Alcaraz? Well, there are a few things to consider. First of all, Carlos Alcaraz, as I've discussed in many of my videos, including my live stream after the US Open, he still has to prove himself in the indoor season post US Open. Carlos Alcaraz did win Rotterdam earlier this year, which I thought was one of his most important wins. So he's highly capable of winning on any surface, including the ATP finals, where I do believe that Sinner is going to be the big favorite. But Carlos Alcaraz has a lot left to prove when it comes to tennis that happens post the US Open. And whether this loss to Fritz will have an effect, we don't know. First of all, Carlos Alcaraz is scheduled to play again today. The Team World had swept all 4 matches yesterday, and the Laver Cup could be over very soon today, and Carlos Alcaraz might not even get to play. So we don't know. But looking ahead, he's got a lot of tennis scheduled. He's going to play Tokyo. And if he loses again there, maybe there could be a small slump that we'll see from Carlos Alcaraz. But on the other hand, if he continues to showcase the improvements that he has made in his game in 2025, he could, of course, bounce back and do really well in Tokyo, Shanghai, Paris, and of course, the ATP finals. But again, my biggest worry when it comes to Carlos is that he overplays. Now, one thing that could be possible with Carlos is that he is one of these players that needs a lot of matches and likes to play a lot to find his best tennis. That could certainly be the case for him. Maybe he doesn't like taking long breaks, and maybe that affects his confidence in a negative way. I'm going to be tracking Carlitos very carefully, but in my opinion, the most important thing for him is longevity, because he is so important for the game of tennis. If he wasn't present at this Laver Cup Again, we're going to discuss in more detail what I think would have happened to the Laver Cup if that was the case. So we'll see you guys tomorrow, and make sure that you hit the like button on this video. Make sure that you subscribe to Intuitive Tennis if you haven't yet. YouTube is going through some changes, and creators across the board on the app are seeing less views. Something happened with the algorithm, and this is especially true in the tennis niche. So do me a favor and like this video, hype this video up, leave a comment down below what you think of the Laver Cup, what you think about Fritz versus Alcaraz, and let's pump this video up. I want to see tennis content be recommended to you guys because, again, there's something happening with YouTube and we're seeing less views across the board, especially in the tennis niche.